Welcome to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. And now here's your host, Wade T. Lightheart.
Want awesome health? How about doubling your energy? With our free Awesome Health course, you can get a new video and lesson every single day for 84 straight days. The course covers everything from optimizing your digestion, nutrient intake, correct health issues, including weight, skin, energy, immune system, and so much more. The course could easily be worth $200 or $300 for, and yet it's 100% free when you go to bioptimizer.com. That's bioptimizers.com. Once you're there, just enter your name and email to get the first 3 phases of the Bioptimization report. You'll get the report immediately and begin getting your video lessons each and every day from there on in.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers with another edition of the Awesome Health Podcast. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's close to heart. It's about energy, in particularly some insights into the practice of Qigong in an often looked, I would say, science / practice / art form. It's an integration of all of those elements that can contribute to a better sense of well-being, kind of like a increased capacity to handle the challenges that are thrown at you in this digital modern world that's faster. And of course, what Qigong is about is the way to get faster is actually to slow down. And today we have joining us Lee Holden, who is the author of Ready, Set, Slow. And he is an energy and Qigong practicer. He's up in his I don't know if you call it a dojo or his teaching platform. I don't know what they call it, Qigong centers.
I don't either, Wade.
It's a good one, but he's up in Santa Cruz, and he's taken the time out of his schedule today to join us and share some insights on the practice of Qigong. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Wade. What a great introduction. Yeah,
Thanks.
This is my film studio here, so I don't have any students, but I have 4 cameras, and we broadcast classes all over the world. So it's just on with 500 or 600 people.
So maybe in your own words, you can kind of share your journey that got you interested in Qigong, its originations, and maybe the impact to you that led you to be someone who is a strong proponent with this entire practice that is largely unknown to most of the Western world, but is practiced extensively in the Eastern part of the world, and maybe where it can bridge some of the gap of our Western bigger, faster, stronger kind of mentality versus what Qigong represents. So maybe you can share with us your whole history around that.
Yeah, beautifully said. Well, I was a collegiate soccer player, and it kind of came back to an injury that I sustained while playing my sophomore year in college. I'm 20 years old, and I was at the peak of my career, and I jumped up in the air. Somebody took out my legs. I landed on my tailbone, and I was done for. Out for the game. Then the doctor said, "You're out for the season." And so I was bummed. I had worked so hard and trained so much to be not only on the team, but playing Division I soccer. And I found myself 3 weeks later hobbling around still in just as much pain as I was the first day that it happened. I had some cortisone shots. I'd taken painkillers. The painkillers gave me a stomachache, but didn't do much for the pain. So I was very down and out. But I trained martial arts when I was a kid, and I remember this teacher of mine, he broke a big stack of bricks. Bam! And I was like 10 years old. I was like, wow, how'd you do that? And I remember him grabbing me by the lapel of my gi, and he said, "I use the power of Qi. But Qi is not for hurting people, it is for healing." And it stuck with me. It was a pivotal moment because I remember this guy saying it's for healing. And I said, I'm going to go see that guy. And he did acupuncture on me. He showed me Qigong exercises, maybe 5 or 6 Qigong exercises. And after one treatment, I was like 70% better. He gave me another treatment. I was like 80% better. after 4 treatments, I was ready to play soccer again. I was like 95% better. And it was a catalyst for me because I'm like, why aren't more people doing this? This stuff is amazing. I feel great. And it was simple, slow movements that were directing and guiding energy, which they call qi, to certain areas of the body for healing purposes. And I went on to train in Qigong. I studied with some of the best teachers at the time in the kind of the early 1990s. And I went to attended a few workshops by a teacher named Montauk Chia, who was very well known and probably still is well known. And he had retreats in Asia and in Thailand specifically. After training with him for a while, when I was about ready to graduate college, I was like, man, what do I want to do for work? I want to do that Qigong stuff. So I came up to Montauk Chia at a retreat and I said, hey, kid, do you have any jobs by any chance? And he said, you know how to write a book? And I was like, sure, I know how to write a book. I just finished my college degree. I could write. And so he's like, okay, you're my ghostwriter. So there I went off to Thailand. I did 12 trips to Thailand in the subsequent 4 years. And I kind of moved my way up the ladder in a team of writers that would write his books for him. And I trained with him, one-on-one for months at a time, organizing content into book formats and really synthesizing all this information. Now, I'd be in Thailand for a few months, and I'd come back home to California, and I'd start teaching in health clubs, Silicon Valley companies, retirement communities, rec centers, and even like I was teaching for kids at summer camps. And I was constantly going, how do I explain this more esoteric wisdom of Eastern Chinese medicine, Qigong, Tai Chi, meditation to people in Silicon Valley, people that are interested in fitness and health, at a time when yoga and mindfulness weren't quite yet a thing. Maybe yoga was just coming on the scene, but nothing was very popular. And I started teaching Qigong in these different arenas and watching how it could heal people's bodies, clear their stress, get them out of pain, and how effective it was. So what I did then was I was like, gosh, I'm teaching like 20, 30 classes a week, going all over the place. I need something that I can replicate. So I started making DVDs, and I filmed them in this really beautiful way that one thing led to another. I got some of these DVDs got put on PBS. I did a PBS show at the San Diego station. It became very popular pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden I had a national Qigong show that was airing in all 50 states and the top 10 markets. It became a really well-known and popular show on PBS, and that's kind of how I got my start.
Yeah, it's a great organic nature. And it's ironic how many people discover their career path through what is, a challenging situation in life. And so many people, going back to the energetics side of it, because this is a part that I think where a lot of people who are conditioned on the Western dogmatic science, biochemical, scientific method model don't seem to be able to apply this to some of the wisdom that's emerged out of Eastern philosophy. So in your recovery process or your experience as a teacher later on helping other people, what is it in the mechanics of Qi that has the ability, you feel, to correct imbalances or pain situations in the body or create a greater sense of well-being? What is that for people that might not know what that means?
Right. And that's such a great question. And it's so important because I think we've been conditioned in the Western world to look at just the body as something mechanical, when in fact the body is more organic. It's not made from the outside in, it grows from the inside out. And things that grow from the inside out need the proper balance and integration for healing to happen. Healing comes from the same root word as wholeness. So whole, an integrated whole, is what creates healing. And I think what we need to understand is that the body already has tremendous healing power, and that if it is activated properly, it works better. What lowers the body's healing power and capacity is many things. It could be, one of the main things is stress. When the body's under stress, we're in fight or flight, we're in the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. When they're in the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, energy is allocated more externally and more towards the muscles for fight or flight. But nowadays in modern life, we're not fighting, nor are we fleeing. We're, sitting in traffic. We're thinking about our portfolio. We're thinking about that meeting we have with our boss. So all this stress energy is staying in the body without getting dissipated, circulated, or moved through. So energy is everything. It's what our body is made out of. When we say energy, we basically mean life force. We mean that there's something self-evident about our bodies and minds, that we are alive. In Chinese medicine, they called life force qi. It just meant, hey, there's aliveness moving through you. Something that has qi is alive. Something that doesn't have qi is not alive. It was a very simple term. Now, there's many different kinds of qi, or there's many things that go into making up this life force energy. So in Chinese medicine, we have breath qi, or the qi of the lungs. That would be called zong qi. And we have qi of food. We eat food so that it supports our overall energy. Now, if you eat healthy food, you're going to get better qi than if you ate unhealthy food. So there's many layers of energetic expression. And then there's these ways in which, let's say, breathing and eating combine together to create, let's say, a third kind of qi. There's the qi we get from our interactions with our relationships and other human beings. There's the qi of nature. So all of these things sort of combine to create your overall energy. Now, when somebody's sick, we're going to say, oh, the qi is blocked. In Chinese medicine, we're going to look at the body more like a gardener tending a garden. Where in the West, we're going to look at the body more like a mechanic. And that's why in the West, if you have a lot of emotional stress that leads to headaches and you go to the doctor, they just give you painkillers. They're not talking about your emotional stress that caused the headache. They're just going to say, oh, you got a headache? Here, take a painkiller. In Eastern medicine, they're going to say, what caused that headache? And let's see if we can uproot the cause of the headache. And let's go at the source. So the side effect of Eastern medicine, when you do, let's say, Qigong and acupuncture, you go to the acupuncturist, you go to the Qigong master, say, I have a headache. They look at stress, they look at relationships, other factors. They give you some acupuncture, some movements. All of a sudden, your headache feels better, but the side effect is now you also sleep better, you have more energy, your back feels better. So the side effects are positive because we're looking at the root cause. Whereas in the West, side effects are often negative. You take painkillers too long, you harm your liver or your kidneys because they're very powerful and they're only directed at a very specific condition. So I don't know if you know this, Wade, but the way Chinese medicine worked way back when and in certain areas was on preventative health. It was actually health care, meaning that you went to the Qigong master and the acupuncturist, you pay them a monthly fee, and if you get sick or you have problems, that's when you stop paying. So you're always paying for your health and wellness because health was seen as a journey, not a destination. It was something you did each and every day. You do your exercises, your breathing practice, your meditation, your herbs, and that's how you stayed healthy. And the health practices were based on 5 branches of Chinese medicine, which were acupuncture, herbs, nutrition, massage therapy, and Qigong practice. And that is what true healthcare was all about. And I was just thinking, wow, if we reversed the model in Western medicine and focused on health and nobody got paid unless people were healthy, we're going to have a totally different world. You know, we have a huge business around pharmaceuticals, hospitals, doctors, everything that goes into Western medicine has big money behind it, and nobody gets paid unless people are sick and unwell. So there's not a big focus on just health and vitality. In Chinese medicine and in Qigong, you can come to a practitioner and say, there's nothing wrong, but I just want more vitality. I want better energy. I want stronger levels of health. And they're like, that's the perfect time to go and see a Chinese medicine healthcare practitioner. Keep your energy high. And the other saying in Chinese medicine, don't dig your well when you're dying of thirst. Dig it beforehand. Don't wait till you're sick to start thinking about health practices. And I know this probably rings near and dear to your heart too, Wade.
Yeah, well, I think you identified a couple things. And if anyone that might question the Eastern model or its application of it as a science, they ought to just look at an acupuncture chart and see. And for many years, it stumped Western physiologists because they didn't seem to correlate. It was primarily focused on this energetic body, which didn't correlate with the compartmentalized version of organs, etc. Now, later on, what was interesting, there was a connection made in neurochemistry between the two branches of Western and Eastern philosophy. So finally, we found a balance, and I equate things to the chemical model that we lean a little bit more towards in the West. That's like the gasoline in your car, but it needs a fire. It needs to be sparked. It needs to have fire, and you need to have proper exhaust in order to exhale the activity of it. And we all met people that have extraordinary levels of energy or chi. We say, well, that guy's a high energy person or a low energy person. So it's actually built into the lexicon. And maybe some of the advances we made in the West would be on the surgical side, perhaps. And then I think on the East, I think there's a larger and larger movement towards, wait a second, as we become more technologically advanced, we're now almost becoming imprisoned by the speed of the machines. And I think if you ever have done or witnessed the Qigong practice, it's these very slow, rhythmic moves. Why? I kind of think I know the answer, but I want to answer this. So, what is it about, what we'd see in a typical Qigong practice, let's say, and why is the importance of the slowness involved in that practice as opposed to maybe like bigger, faster, stronger kind of mentality that we apply to things?
Beautiful. It really comes down to like yin and yang theory. Yin is slow, it's relaxation, it's being in the moment. Yang is action and activity and go. And in Chinese medicine, they say, if you want more bigger, faster, stronger, you got to do the yin first. If you want to have fully charged energy for your day, you have to sleep well at night. And there's this overemphasis in the West of the go, of just yang. When we say energy, we think of yang energy, of like, let's get up and go. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's go seize the day. And that is important, but it comes from the balance. So if you want more yang, first focus on yin. Focus on relaxation, resting well. And then you're going to have a lot of energy to go out and do the yang well. So yin energy is being able to sleep well. It's being able to be in the moment. It's being able to relax and be at peace. It's to be able to and just drop in. Everything is okay. So the book that I just wrote, Ready, Set, Slow, is about that. It's not that we always go slow. It's strategically going slow so that you're building energy in your system. Now in Qigong, they recognize this. What happened, the origins of Qigong were men and women thousands of years ago observing nature. Let's watch a tree in the wind and how it moves. Is the tree moving? It is moving, but what's moving the tree? this invisible force that we call wind. It's invisible, the tree's in motion, but there's no effort in how the tree moves. Let's watch the river as it flows down the mountain. You run your fingers through the water of the river. Wow, the water is very soft and gentle. You go stand in the current and it is extremely powerful. So they started moving their bodies in this way and they became connected to nature. They became energized. They became healthy. And eventually what happened is that they started using Qigong for martial arts. So all the internal martial arts stem from Qigong practice. So the internal martial arts of Kung Fu. Kung Fu is both an internal and an external, but Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, a bunch of martial artists, Aikido, are all internal energy, more yin focused, where you redirect somebody's energy and somebody attacks you, you redirect that energy, give it back to them. All these practices sprung forth from Qigong. So there's really three branches of Qigong. There's martial arts branch, there's the medical branch, there's the spiritual branch. All stemming from looking at how nature worked, understanding when you look at nature, you're looking at yourself, because everything, again, is in this holistic system that nature is my extended body, that if I damage nature, I damage myself, because without nature, I don't have air to breathe. I won't exist. We see those connections when you look at energy. When you look at the world as a mechanical model, you only see the separations. A fence over the earth signifies, hey, this is my property, that's your property. But to the earth, it just goes on. It's this one continuous system. And that's the difference. And if we don't understand that model, if we don't get a felt sense from it, we start destroying our extended body. We start destroying nature. And we don't feel connected and integrated within ourselves. We don't feel that our mind, our emotions, our body are one system, that they each influence each other. So holistic medicine is the medicine of integration, not only between mind and body, but also mind, body, spirit. It's all one energy starting to manifest itself in different forms, like white light shining through a prism is going to come out in an array of colors. It's still coming from that one source, just manifesting as different energy. So when we look at health, we want to look at all aspects of ourselves. If the mind is stressed out and turbulent, the body is going to have pain and problems. And so we might have to work on calming the mind to clear pain. Or if we're sedentary, we don't move our bodies and we have a lot of emotions and we're feeling fatigue and depressed, the best solution might be, hey, let's get up and move your body. So coming back to your question, why slow? When you slow down your body, you're going to slow down your mind. When you slow down your mind, you come back to the present moment. And what is true is always this moment. And so constantly, human beings are in a daydreaming mind. We're awake, but we're daydreaming. We go to sleep and we're dreaming. We're rarely in the present moment. So the ancient practitioner said, let's slow down the body as a way to slow down the mind to get into the present moment. And this really magical thing happens when you slow down. You slow down and relaxation are the two key practices of Qigong. You relax, you slow down, you breathe deep, and all of a sudden energy pours into you. And you feel this aliveness. Your body is just buzzing and tingling with this energy. And it feels quite miraculous because you didn't work real hard. You didn't exercise super strongly, but all of a sudden you feel great. So I consider Qigong the sunset of exercise. It's not too much, it's not too little. There's movement. So the sun, let's say, is yang, night is yin. It's like this real balanced time, and you just feel, like when you watch the sunset, you're just like, oh, it's beautiful. I feel good. I feel connected. That is what Qigong practice can give us.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip. Turn cultured foods into superfoods. Raw fermented foods like sauerkraut and low sugar, live yogurt can be good for you, but rarely have enough of the right probiotic strains for therapeutic benefit. So here's a way that you can turn them into superfoods. What I do is I get some raw sauerkraut or a healthy yogurt. Ideally, it's grass-fed or coconut-based. And you can empty 3 caps of P3OM into a container and mix it up thoroughly. Leave it at room temperature for a couple of hours before putting it back into the fridge. And what's going to happen is these probiotic levels will be multiplied. In fact, it doubles every 20 minutes. And then what you're going to get is you're going to have a food with strong proteolytic activity. To learn more about P3OM and why its patented strains make it the strongest probiotic available, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Over the last 30 plus years that you've been practicing, you talked about getting your start kind of in the Silicon Valley, which is always ahead of the curve on the speed curve. But now, what have you noticed in expansion of awareness for people who are coming into, or like what type of people, I guess, are coming to you now looking to find the benefits of Qigong? And then what are some areas for the novice person that they would most likely get started on? Because it encompasses a wide variety of elements, which start with these fundamental principles that you've kind of touched on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, mainly people find me and have found me through pain points. So I did a lot of programs for PBS and my own website on pain points, condition-specific things. So low back pain, upper back and neck, headaches, high blood pressure, digestive issues. And I think what happens is people go, oh, I have that thing, even though I don't know what Qigong is, maybe it can help me. I think people get dismayed with Western medicine. There's long waits in doctor's offices. Hospitals are extremely frustrating. There's side effects to the medicine. There's so many things going wrong. Not to say that we don't need Western medicine when we need it. We do. It's just that you don't want to get stuck in that loop of pharmaceutical. You got to take this pill for this problem that creates this side effect. So you take another pill for the side effect. And pretty soon you don't really know exactly what's going on in your own mind-body system. If you can avoid that and do natural things and activate healing from the inside out rather than the outside in, it is a much more fulfilling path. And so that's kind of was how I got started, and how I continue is like, hey, let me help you address your healthcare need. People get really good results. Their back pain goes away. Their headaches get better. Their blood pressure balances. Wow, that feels good. I want to continue doing Qigong practice. So that's how I have traditionally done it. Now what I do is I do things like a 30-day challenge, because people are busy. And I say, hey, why don't you try 7 minutes a day of Qigong and just see how you feel at the end of 30 days. And I'm like, come on, folks, 7 minutes is the snooze button. Just instead of hitting that snooze button, do 7 minutes of Qigong, and people go, wow. So we run these 30-day challenges, either with the 7-minute routine or like a 20-minute routine at different times. And people really feel the benefit of Qigong practice. The other thing I did, Wade, I was the head movement instructor for Weight Watchers, the whole company, for a few years. And I designed a bunch of programs for them, and we did tours all across the country and even internationally, like in the UK. And people were like, I finally feel good moving in my body. Because Qigong was an accessible way for people with pain, weight issues, if you're a little bit older, to be able to get back into movement and to understand that health can come from the inside out. And so there's been many ways where I've been, pioneering bringing Qigong more to the Western world through media, now internet stuff, through companies, corporations. I was even a wellness director on a few Hollywood movie sets, because it could be done quickly, done before people filmed, and it also was really good for nerves and just peak performance, helping us to connect to like flow state.
So if you're talking about a 7-minute routine, what would that encompass for the beginner? Because almost everybody says, well, 7 minutes. I mean,
what could you do?
I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, what could I do with it? And if that really works, I could probably do that.
Yes, and it does really work. 7 minutes can be a great Qigong warm-up before going to work out. So if you're a jogger, a mountain biker, a weightlifter, do a little Qigong beforehand, warm yourself up, and then do your workout. And then you could even do a more meditative flowing type of Qigong afterwards. These practices can be integrated, made modern, just with a little creativity. In a 7-minute routine, what I do is in Qigong, the principles are activate your Qi, stretch lines of tension, areas where we constantly get tight and constricted. And a third principle would be do flowing movements, moving meditations for building energy. So if in a 7-minute routine, I would just do one of each of those, one warm up, an activation, one stretch, one flow. In an hour-long class, we do a bunch of warm-ups, a bunch of stretches, and a bunch of flows. But you can do a short recipe, like an appetizer, and be like, that was delicious. I feel great.
Yeah, one of the things I think of for a lot of listeners is a great book out there called Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
And it talks about how so many people want the whole buffet before they get to the first course. Yeah. And it's like building a 7-minute routine and seeing that develop in their life, or seeing the benefits start to unfold, then that builds its own general momentum. Kind of like you said, it's more of a gardening practice than surgical practice, or a mechanical practice. And I think that's a really important element for people to integrate inside of any type of what I would call more Eastern philosophy practices. Like, if you took it, like yoga is a great example. It's again coming from a same type of mentality. Slow down first. Like, let's get present. And the slowing down creates a higher level of internal awareness. Mm-hmm. I think is one of the big benefits of that. And there's so much external activity going out in the sensory world with all the stimulation that we have. Then reversing those searchlights inwards, then some of these things that sound kind of woo become presence. Like, why do I have this feeling in my hands? Or, why am I getting this tingly feeling? So for example, you go to an opera and they hit the high note and all of the hairs stand up in your body. So there is a physiological response to something that didn't happen like in proximity. So why is that? And I think that's your early illustrations about studying nature, seeing how things can move without the normal mechanics that we might do. It's a flowing and a grace, and and then we cue the little flute music or whatever as people are doing these elements. But yeah, there always remains a fascination. So I think about this. Whenever I've watched as a kid any movies that developed with the martial arts, is it the fighting that's most interesting, or is it the master and the student where they're giving these lessons and making these kind of practices that seem kind of jam the mind, but then those elements seem to resonate at a level that really hooks people. I want to talk about your book because, the idea of why people produce books is they're trying to present a summary or put forward a point that leads to a benefit to the consumer. What is the key elements of Ready, Set, Slow? And how can someone that was, interested in Qigong decide, hey, maybe this is the book I want to read, and what you're going to get out of it?
Yeah. And it really is a integration into life. How do we take slow principles, let's say of a Qigong practice, and apply them to life? And, what I was doing for some years is just slowing down. And I think people want more slow. People want to have more moments of high energy. People want to have more moments of deep connection with their loved ones. And how do we do it? We slow down. We don't want to hurry or rush through the best moments of our lives. So to create more best moments in our days, slowing down is essential. Also, slowing down gives us more productivity. It's a bit counterintuitive, but when you slow down, you really understand your priorities and what's important for the day. You can get clear and you can be efficient You can be efficient and still be in a slow mindset. So in the book, I even talk about sometimes I'm moving really quickly because I have 4 daughters. I run a couple of businesses. I'm making media. I'm doing things all the time. But in my mind and in my body, I feel calm, in essence, slow, even though I'm going about everything very efficiently. That is kind of like flow state in athletics. What happens in flow state, and I don't know if you've heard lots of descriptions of flow state, I bet you have, but one of the characteristics is that it seems to the athlete that time slows down. Flow state is like a superpower, almost like a matrix. Even though you're on the face of a big wave and you're surfing and you're going really fast, all of a sudden you feel one with the wave, you feel one with your sport, you feel connected to the activity and things slow down, and you just are in this beautiful zone where you're connected to everything you're doing. So that's kind of more advanced slow techniques. But what we can do, for example, I took lots of things that we're doing every day, whether it's drinking coffee, drinking tea, eating food. If you slow down, it becomes more enjoyable and it becomes better for you. So slowing down when you eat, for example, you really chew your food, you enjoy the taste, digestion starts in your mouth. So by the time it gets to your stomach, your body converts it to energy, right? Everybody wants, food to taste good, and we want the food to deliver us energy. If you slow down, you get that. Even, in some of my research with weightlifting, this didn't make it into the book. I have a bonus chapter on weightlifting, but slow weightlifting, you get lots of benefits with slowing down, and you don't necessarily need to do as many reps to get lots of benefits from slow weightlifting. So in that kind of thing, I kept fighting over and over again. Slowing down saves you time. Slowing down helps you to not make as many mistakes. Slowing down helps you to focus on what you really want to accomplish in the day. Slowing down gives you more moments of the things that you love about your day. So all of those things, I took these principles of slow body movement and touched upon different elements, mind, body, and relationships through the book, and showed how it can give us little hacks, tricks, tips to really enjoy ourselves much more and to be healthier while we're doing it.
Funny you should talk about the slowing down part on performance, because I have had the good fortune of being able to train with some special forces practitioners. Shout out to Coast Tactical Training. And I've had a number of special operators on the podcast. And I found it, one of the things that they taught us when we were learning all the various drills, which would prepare yourself for a very high stress situation.
Yeah.
The practice to excellence, what they would say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So you'd walk through this. And I also found it very interesting that all of these operators have been using Qigong breathing techniques or whatever to manage high stress situations, levels of extreme fatigue, and, where you need to be able to think quickly. Even the famous Jocko Willink talks about when he was first training in military activity as a special forces operator, they're in a live fire situation and things weren't working out, Brown, and there was a bit confusion. And he said, I stepped back to survey the situation.
Yeah.
And then the process of stepping back created space. And from that space, he said, it changed my perception of what I was faced with. And then instantaneously, the information came to. And then you talk with how they start working together and they practice slowly and they move faster. And then eventually they work as a symbolic, they're literally becoming a singular organism, so that a guy moves his shoulder and the guy knows there's a guy on that ridge. They get so tight with their units that they start to understand that. And I think if you're looking on a more macro level, imagine a world that was becoming aware, like the opera singer, like the special force operator, like the person with your family that has that awareness and connectivity to all living beings. So not just the tree, the brook,
Yeah.
the Republicans and the Democrats. I mean, we'd solve a lot of problems with that kind of perspective, when I see the vitriol that is now part and parcel to digital media, because I think the medium promotes a stress response where things aren't really thought out, or they're cut up or not expressed well. You see the consequence of that quick reactive element, and then the correlation of damage. So we could take that just as everybody kind of is aware of that. But imagine that same thing is happening inside our body, which is creating a process which is accelerating the degenerative elements within physiology.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I want to look at Qigong as an expression of vitality, health, longevity. That's a big track that is continuing to grow exponentially. Most people are looking at what supplement do I take? What machine do I use? What drug do I take? What, whatever. And those are all well and fine. I'm not condemning those, but how would you say that Qigong really fits within this model of health and vitality for people who want to live stronger, longer, better lives?
Yeah. I mean, slowing down in and of itself slows down the aging process, because when you're going slow, you're not stressed. Stress is one of the biggest factors in rapidly aging the body. It is the root cause of cardiovascular problems, neurological problems, not only pain and tight muscles, but all these number one killers of the Western world. So we slow down. It's a wonderful way. It's a simple way, simple but not easy way to create longevity. So, for example, one of the markers of living a long life in Qigong, they don't necessarily count your years, they count your breaths. So if you're breathing really fast, you're aging quicker. And I was like, is there science behind that? And yes, there is. If you breathe slower, like an optimal breath is a very slow breath. And then you're like, well, why? I think we need oxygen. Overbreathing is like overeating. You need food, yes, but if you overeat, it clogs up the system. Overbreathing is the same way. So slow breathing, 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale is very slow. When you breathe that way, your whole system has a reset, because when you're breathing slowly, it is communicating to your nervous system, we're not in fight or flight, we're in rest and digest. Let's relax. Let's be centered. Let's be in the moment. And then we're not having that wear and tear on the system so dramatically. So slowing down is so key to health and longevity. And if we're not addressing stress, and it should be the number one priority, because it doesn't matter. I mean, yes, it does matter. We could be eating healthy and taking great supplements and working out, but we could still be burning the candle at both ends and rapidly aging because we're not chill and slowing down. So I love these kind of concepts to pair well with biohacking and all the other things in the supplement industry. It just goes really well together. Qigong was called the art of preventing disease and prolonging life. And I did have the privilege of training with, a woman in China. She was 106 years old. She taught a style of Qigong called swimming dragon style, which is a style that I love to teach all the time. But she was 106 years old teaching classes, every single day in the morning in the park. I'd go, and I had a translator helping me to translate, and he was talking to her, and, oh yeah, she's 106. She's, and I was like, oh my God, she looks like she's 75. She moves like a cat. She's full of energy. And I was like, that's a great example of longevity. And I found over and over again of Qigong practitioners, Tai Chi practitioners that aged very gracefully and aged in a way that wasn't stressful. Even the stress in our minds about aging can be hard on ourselves. There's just this grace and ease and effortlessness about these people getting older in life, but doing it so gracefully with such wisdom that I wanted to, emulate, and also be able to teach and share that that wisdom, especially in a culture that has such an adversity to aging, where in a lot of Eastern cultures, there's such a reverence to older people.
Right. Yeah,
So-
we've lost that in the independent mindset here in the West, and there's advantages and disadvantages to both sides. But a lot of our wisdom keepers are locked up in homes, drugged up, and we don't get to extract a great deal of wisdom by taking the
Right.
time to spend with them. I had that good fortune when I was a child. I would go visit and stay with my grandparents at the senior citizens home, and I can still remember when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, asking. We used to play card games or dominoes or Yahtzee or whatever. And I asked them,
Yeah.
well, what would you say to me as a 7-year-old? Like, what would you say that is the most, important thing in life? And they said to me, it goes by fast. And I remember thinking, these people are just like, I can't even fathom how old they are.
No,
How
right?
could it have possibly gone fast when like summer vacation lasted forever in high school, right?
Mhm.
Or when I was a kid. And now, I'm in middle age and I'm like, yeah, boy, it does go by fast.
Yeah, right?
So
Yeah.
I'll touch on one thing. So with slowing down, how does that shift the perception of time?
Right? Because you can, over years, you can, let's say, accomplish a lot, but in days when you slow down, you can have more beautiful moments. I don't know if you've ever gone on vacation and, like, "God, what did I do in 2017? Oh, yeah, I was on vacation. And I remember a big portion of that, let's say, week or 2 weeks that I was on vacation, but the rest of the year is sort of like a blur. I kind of did this, I kind of did that. It's when we create moments that we really create memories. And when we create those deep energy experiences with each other, with nature, with an activity, that we really feel connected to life. And the more often we feel connected to life, the more we feel like life slows down and we have more experiences and we have more beautiful experiences and we have more to be grateful for. So not only do we seem like we maximize the time that we have, we have more moments. So another saying in Qigong practice, add not only years to your life, but life into your years. And this is adding the life into the years by slowing down and not just rushing through everything and getting through. It's the difference between thriving versus surviving. And, sometimes as a parent, I'm like, there's sometimes this rush in the morning to get to school. And so I try to create little moments with my children, maybe of just like, hey, what are we looking forward to today, guys? Or, all right, let's do 1 minute of breathing, 1 minute of Qigong. Let's do something where we can connect instead of being in conflict. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, what happened today? Oh, that was a great moment that we had this morning. And sometimes if I get all the kids dressed, fed, healthy breakfast to school on time without fighting, I'm just like, yes, successful day. And it's just a little thing. But I think slowing down and when you slow down, you can have clearer intention. When you have clearer intention, life seems to conspire with you rather than against you. So it's like a magical ingredient that can be then you could add ingredients to the recipe of the day.
So your book is Ready, Set, Slow. And that's going to help people introduce themselves into the concepts of Qigong, how they can practice. You must have some social media connections, some website information and stuff, because I'm sure there's going to be some listeners here that are like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. I need to slow down, man.
Yeah.
I need to I need some space in my life. And I would say the more stressed, anxiety ridden, or the less time that you feel you have, the more benefits you're going to get from this type of practice.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage people to grab a copy of the book. Where can people get the book? Where can people find you? How do they dive deeper into the slow mindset to get better performance in their life?
Fantastic, Wade. Thank you. Come visit me at my website. It's holdenqigong.com. And the hardest part about Qigong is how to spell it. So Qigong, Qigong. So Holden, Holden, Qigong, holdenqigong.com. Lots of resources there, lots of free practices. We got a great YouTube channel, Holden Qigong Official. And then the book, you can get it wherever you like to buy books, whether it's Amazon, your local bookstore. Sounds True produced the book. You could go to soundstrue.com and find the book there. But I would love to see you guys. I think what Wade does and what I do is so synergistic.
So they can literally go into the stuff and get access to you actually teaching them these practices.
Yeah, I teach 3 classes a week live on Zoom. Every single class gets put up onto the subscription page, and you always have access to the latest 12 classes. So you could just come to my class online. Like I said, I'm right here in my studio right now where I teach, and I have 2 big screen TVs. We have a few hundred people on every class. We do a Q&A to start with. I answer questions from a Chinese medicine perspective. We do an hour class with a 10-minute meditation. You feel great. And I would love to see people.
And how do you get access to that?
That's on holdenqigong.com. And it's called Video Class Subscription.
That's so cool. I mean, the world is a remarkable place that you can be anywhere in the world. And you can do a direct class with you. And I love the fact that you're able to connect anybody, anywhere, anytime to get these practices. For our listeners, I encourage you to check out Lee's book, Ready, Set, Slow. Go to his website. We'll have all of that information in the show notes. Take advantage of it. Slow down and take a breath. You might be surprised at the benefits because your breath rate is your death rate. So why not slow that down and improve the moments and experience and memories in your life? Because after all, you're in charge of it. Thank you so much. I'm Wade T. Lightheart from the Awesome Health Podcast. And this is an extraordinary connection. So I really appreciate it, and take a breath because we want to hear from you. If you like it, share it. If you don't like it, hit me up. Let me know what you didn't like. And of course, I love your feedback. Take care. Lots of love.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: supercharge your protein shake. Everyone knows protein shakes are a great way to sneak in extra protein, build more muscle, even replace meals and burn more fat. The problem is the highest quality protein typically absorbs at around 40%. One way to fix this and dramatically increase how quickly and effective your protein shake digests is to add 2 to 3 capsules of Masszymes into your shake. One research study showed that pre-digested protein during a meal increased muscle growth significantly. To take advantage of this, just blend the open capsules into your shake, and within 15 minutes or less, the enzymes will have begun to break down the protein into amino acids. This can make your shakes at least 2 to 3 times more potent. Some people do this and sip on their shake while lifting to provide their muscles with a steady stream of amino acids during their workout. To save 10% on Masszymes, use the code SHAKE10, that's SHAKE10, at Masszymes.com. That's SHAKE10 at Masszymes.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.